Oh, they've done it! Steven Terodde, an instant hero! Can you believe it? Plenty attacking! No! The comeback is complete! A stunning second half from Schalke!
Blau und weiß sein Leben lang. Herzlich willkommen zurück auf SchalkeMerica. It's your boy back with his ugly Christmas sweater here for our last podcast of 2023. I'm your host, Richard Carmen. Joining me on this final episode of 2023, co-host Jack Mangan. Happy holidays, sir.
Happy holidays. I was waiting for Guido Bergstauer to slowly pop up from the corner of your screen, but I guess not. But we have his ugly Christmas sweater at least. So
that's right.
Mr. Bergstauer's here in spirit.
That's right.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to kind of putting a button on the first half of the season. Very eventful first half of the season, and then heading into the holidays and everything. So looking to get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Gluk auf Eric. Happy holidays. Good to see you. We get season's now done. Last game against Greuther Fürth ends on a high-ish, right? 3 games unbeaten, so that's not bad. Going into 2023, it looks like the training camp to Portugal was approved. January, I think 2nd through the 10th or something like that. We'll talk about the game, get into a little bit of news, and then if we feel like doing anything else, we will. We'll see how it goes. We're going to keep it short and sweet, get out of 2023, and then maybe we'll have a more in-depth review as the Rückrunde begins. We'll see. But programming note, while we are off during the Rückrunde, only to be called offsides. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Programming note, while we are the Winterpause, the podcast is the last podcast until the season starts back up in mid to late January. We're gonna try to keep it consistent here. So what I thought I'd do is I'm gonna do live streaming on Twitch of FM24 of Schalke, just to keep it going on Monday nights. So it'll be the normal times, Monday night 8:30. I might do one to this Friday night, kind of kick things off. But if you want to stay around on Monday nights, talk Schalke still, I'll be around. So not Jack, I'm not saying that you have to be on that at all. So if you want, you can. All right, let's get into this thing. We had a game, obviously, against Greuther Fürth this what day was it? Saturday? I don't remember. So many days are so long now. 2-2 against them. They were a team who, or still are, a team who high in the table, 4th in the table. We talked about how they had like 5 shutouts this season. They just very good defensively last podcast. Team that are certainly challenging for promotion this year. For me, look at the starting lineup in this, and Urbig in goal with Dietz, Mikalski, and Jung in the back with Asta, Wagner, Julian Green, the American there, and Haddadi with Hergota, Sieb, and Lemperla. Jack, for me, though I knew Julian Green, I think for me the two danger men for me that I had my eyes on because I knew Hergota. I know him from previous, and then Sieb is a guy I've had my eye on for all season long. Really, he's been a danger man, danger striker for Greuther Fürth. Has had a good season so far. Other than that, I was more worried about how we would play versus them. But obviously, this is a team that's been good, and defensively, they've been stout this season.
Yeah, I think something like maybe 5 games unbeaten coming into this one at least.
Yeah.
So definitely kind of on a hot one to end the year, running good form for them. I think I pretty much agree with you. And then, of course, Julian Green, hero of the World Cup. Noted World Cup goal scorer. Nice to get eyes on him because obviously I'm not often watching Greuther Fürth games just casually. So nice to see kind of where he's at in his career.
Waflo in the house. Good to see you, sir. Looking at our lineup, seems like fairly standard these days, but maybe not some. Maybe back-to-back games or whatever. Fairman in goal, back 4 of Brunner, Kalash, Kaminski, and Merkin. A midfield 4, a diamond again of Seguin, Idrizi, Moore, and Karaman with Top and Terodde. Papa Unson, as we've been calling it on the Discord, leading the way for Schalke there. Good to see the youngster Top get in the lineup again, alongside Terodde. Everyone was buzzing when he was in the lineup, hoping that he could get some magic with Terodde and Karaman. Thoughts on the lineup going into this one?
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of splitting hairs here because we're just talking about like shapes and stuff in general, and these things aren't, the most important in terms of how teams play. To me, it kind of presented more as like a 4-3-1-2 than a 4-4-2 diamond, personally.
Okay.
More of kind of like a flatter line of like a unit of a Drizzy, Seguin, and more, and then kind of
I would agree.
kind of like in a separate
Yep.
Intermediate role. But yeah, I mean, I see Top get in there in the starting lineup, and I think the partnership of him and Parad is obviously just intriguing from a foil standpoint in terms of you have the old veteran striker paired up with the youngster coming through.
Yeah.
It's kind of a fun pairing, I think, for the Schalke supporters. And then Karaman's been one of the better players for us recently. Not surprised to see him in there. Glad that Idrisi's getting a run. Obviously, I've been a fan of him in the past, and been happy that he's kind of made this resurgence into the team late in the first half of the season here. Yeah, that's the interesting thing is like some of these names were not names at the beginning of the first half of the season.
No.
So you've seen like Moore and Seguin kind of come back into things recently as well. But yeah, the back line, pretty standard except for the addition of Bruno recently when he's come back from injury.
Yeah, absolutely. On the bench, we had Templeman, Matriciani, Oweyan, Kozuki, Toyer, Baumgartel, Heckerin, Amadine, and Vandersloot. But yeah, interesting lineup in this one for sure. Started off the game, this game was going to be, I thought it was going to be a defensive game, just given how Greuther Fürth's been playing this season. They haven't really given them many goals. But I did allude to it last podcast how they can be exploited defensively. We saw Hertha Berlin exploit them with a 5-0 win earlier this season, their first one of the season, as well as I think it was Karlsruhe had a shootout with them like 4-3 or 5-4, something crazy like that. So they can, if you can expose his defense, you tax his defense, because they do kind of leave it open, play a high line, you can get some goals behind them. So there was opportunity there that I was hoping for. Not the exactly way we want to start the game. Sieb gets a goal 2 minutes in. Luckily, it was offsides. Well finished by him, I thought. But we got a call early in the game for us, 2 minutes in, and then we quickly responded with Tarota setting up Kiki Top. We were wondering how that relationship is going to be. Top had a great opportunity, but then steps on the ball and like falls down. So like good early action. Looked like it was going to be a wide open game. What are your thoughts on how the game started?
Yeah, the very first few minutes, I agree with you, and then shortly after that, though, I felt like it just completely died down for kind of the middle stretch of the first half.
Yeah,
I thought that Firth was really disappointing in possession. Really no initiative, not a lot of movement from their guys. Just very stagnant and super underwhelming, and didn't really threaten a whole lot. I felt like after that kind of initial phase, but they were, I think, very active defensively. And so that once again, I think inhibited Schalke's prospects for a large portion of the first half as well. I thought Schalke resorted to a lot of playing through the air for some reason instead of on the ground. And obviously something ended up happening, slightly later in the first half through the air, which was nice. But I think there's a lot of these like short and mid-range balls that, rather than just kind of putting a little bit of additional effort into some movement showing for a pass, we were just trying to like chip things over the top to people, and I thought it was just really choppy, not good rhythm, and hard to kind of get anything consistent going.
Yeah, I would agree about that. Also worth noting that Alexander Zorniger was the manager for Greuther Fürth, a guy who was linked to us many times before in the past, but he was on a bench for this one. I would agree with that. I think really the first 10 minutes or so where it was really lively, and it really died down after that. It was worth noting like Tarota had this like really nice pirouette in like midfield around a couple of defenders to get by them. He got taken down on the play, and Top had a nice shot 10 minutes in after a great pass from, I forget who made the pass. Maybe it's Kahneman or something like that. But yeah, it started out really hot and heavy, and then all of a sudden it kind of died down. I think you're right. I think Schalke looked like they took the onus of the play early on. It looked like they were the better team, which was surprising because Greuther Fürth was so much higher than us in the table. But what is funny enough is that despite how bad we've been playing, we've said this in the last few podcasts, I think as the season ends, we're tied for third highest scoring team in the league, which is crazy. And we're 13th, 14th place, which is, it shows how bad our defense is. But the game did die down a little bit. And it kind of took a wonderful pass from Idrisi, of all people, a wonderful pinpoint accuracy pass over the top, finds Kiki Top and in one swift motion just puts it back in the net like he was like Simon Tarota, putting it away 1-0. And what was it, 30-something minute or so? And man, that was just a great play overall from like the assist and the pass by Idrizi all the over the top to find almost find Kiki Top and puts it away. Great goal for the youngsters, first for the club.
Yeah, and I was criticizing earlier how much we were doing through the air, and like I said, a lot of that was like these short and medium balls. This was sort of a longer range one over the top in transition, which ended up working out. I don't know if Idrizi was always going for Top or for Tarada, who were both kind of making this very similar run right next to each other, but ultimately the weight on the ball was pretty good. And then Top didn't even hit it to the corner or anything. It's not like he placed it perfectly, but he hit it. He made pretty good contact with it and hit it low, and he got it underneath. And so credit to him for the finish. Obviously, nice to see him score in front of the home crowd and everything. Hopefully a lot more where that came from. But yeah, good moment from him for sure. And then I like that it's Idrizi supplying the ball. Good moment from him as well.
Yeah, and hopefully that means more pitch time for him. When where Top struck, it really is difficult for goalkeepers, like just underneath the arm. For any goalkeeper, whether it's soccer, football, or hockey, even it's a difficult place to react. When it's stretched out, it's different. It's easier than inside the body. So that's where Kiki Top struck it. Well struck, like you said, and went in the back of the net. Prior to that goal, and even remaining of the first half, really, I thought we were structured better as a team defensively. We had a lot of we created more opportunities than Greuther Fürth did, I thought. For the most part, we weren't too troubled. They had a couple opportunities. I think Julian Green had one, and maybe it was Sieber or the other striker had an opportunity where Fairman had to come up and make a save. But other than that, I felt fairly comfortable that first half, up 1-0. Obviously, we've seen this song and dance before, but the way we're going into that first half, end of the first half, I felt good about the team, considering how good the team we were playing was. What were your thoughts as we hit halftime? You're on mute.
I think after we had our first goal, I think things improved a little bit towards the end of the first half. In possession, I think our spacing was a little bit better. Instead of kind of bunching up on one side of the field and finding it difficult to kind of build through them. I think there was some better overlapping runs on the wings and definitely better tempo. And we ended up getting some better looking opportunities in the final third from sort of wide areas or off the shoulder of the box. We were initially, I think Top had another nice moment close to the 40th minute. Well, maybe it's not a nice moment because it ended in I think a turnover without a shot or him really giving the ball to anybody else. But he kind of beat a couple people, held a third guy off in transition by himself, kind of dribbling through kind of four defenders, ultimately gets it stripped from someone behind him that I don't think he saw approaching. But another really nice moment from him. Had a couple pretty well weighted balls as well. So I think overall I was relatively impressed with what Top brought in the first half. I thought it was a pretty competent performance from him specifically, and as you said, I think probably on the whole maybe a little bit better overall than we would have expected against them as well, given sort of the difference in the table. I don't think we played amazingly, like I said, but I thought was fine with that for sure. Certainly wasn't overly disappointed with how we played.
Yeah, and I think with staying on top, I think he brought a different element to our strikers that we haven't had really this season, just because yes, he is more mobile than most of the players that we have, but he was able to hold the ball up. He was able to get in spaces, link up a lot. We saw a play where he hooked up with Karaman set up Tarota, who had a wide open play, misses that. Another play he set up Tarota later again, Tarota missed that. I mean, Schalke, we were, like you said, we didn't play amazingly or anything, but we had enough opportunities where we probably should have had a 2 or 3-0 lead at halftime. It was big opportunities that we had missed, and whenever you have those kind of situations, you wonder if it's ever going to come back to bite you. But I thought, there was chances there for us to score more goals than the one we had. Or did you have that feeling too, or did you felt it was?
No, I think you can look at it that way, especially with how the game ended. Not being able to secure the third 3 points for the third consecutive game. There's definitely chances and moments in the game that you can point to and say hey, if we would have done better there, could have made the difference. But But to get on the board in the first place, I thought was decent. Like I said, there's stuff to criticize, but I also felt like maybe I've just been conditioned from this team to expect worse, particularly going against teams higher up in the table for the most part. So it wasn't disastrous by any stretch.
Yeah, no, I agree about that. So I felt fairly comfortable at halftime. Coming out the gates, you figured Greuther Fürth would come out a little bit more, especially as good a quality team as they are. They're going to come back and try to equalize it. It started out well. We did get a goal right away there off the bat. Simo Tarota put a fantastic ball away. I think Merkin had the cross that was in, or I believe it was Merkin that had the cross in. Wonderfully done. But offsides, it was offsides, narrow some margins, but it looked like every player for Schalke was offside on the play. Nice finish by Tarota. Wish he had done that in the first half, but at least it started off like it was going to be a good half, Jack. But
yeah, I think it may have been more. Could have been Merkin though. Who played that? But yeah, like 2 or 3 Schalke players like well offside by the time he hit that, which is unfortunate because it was a good ball and they may have got to them if they had managed to stay onside. Yeah, it was a pretty goal though, and a nice finish from Tarata. You're kind of wondering why he couldn't have done that on one of the chances he was onside for in the first half or elsewhere. You mentioned like the Karaman kind of cut back to him in the center of the box that he skied over, which was not his finest moment, but yeah, nice set play. Excuse me.
David, I see your comment in the chat. We will get to that here shortly. But yeah, as the football gods work, as it happens in football, when you miss a chance on one end, it comes back to bite you in the other, and usually fairly quickly. What you see is a play where Matriciani at this point had come into the game for Brunner, and he pinched up a little too high in the game. There's a turnover. Greuther Fürth comes down the pitch, and they eventually would get a goal. Nice passing by them. The guy was wide open and goes around Fairman, who made a nice initial save, but then he kind of chips it over him and it goes in the back of the net. Hergota with the goal there. 1-1 in like the 55th minute or something like that. And it's like, oh, geez, that's all we need is we're playing well and then we make a mistake like that and they catch us. I think it was the defense more sleeping than anything else. I mean, how'd you feel on that goal by Greuther Fürth there?
Was that the one where he was almost offside?
Yeah. I thought it was offside. And
I thought it was offside as well. And then when they show you the side, it was pretty much in there. Not ideal. I think Fairman did a decent enough job getting out, being big, getting a hand on it. Yep. Unfortunately, just didn't clear it away, and it kind of flew up behind him. And then, he was able to finish it off. None of the defenders were able to get there in time. So disappointing to bring them back into the game that way. But that was the danger man that you pointed out from the beginning. So there you go. Yeah,
he scored that goal, and I thought, despite Fürth playing better in the second half, we started out well, I think, in the second half, and then once that goal hit, it kind of flatlined us. I think a little bit. At least that's how I felt. I don't know how you felt, and it kind of was just like going through the motions in that second half. They started getting more and more possession. I think it felt like that, at least. I don't know if it really was the case, but time's ticking away, and eventually. Merkin, he does some good in the game where he pitches up, makes a nice cross, and that was a 70-something minute. And Karaman, who's done it, several times this year, great header by him. Honestly, a good cross from Merkin and great finish by Karaman. Puts away 2-1, and I was like, yeah, here we go. That's what we talk about. Fight. That's the fight that Gerards has been asking for since he's been joining the club, and it's good to see that they in last several games where they get pushed and they keep fighting back, and that's something we've been missing in a long time.
Definitely seems like it kind of came out a little bit out of nowhere to some extent, though. Kind of like a random play too. But hey, good effort from Karaman. Not the first time he's gotten a header on the end of one too. So he's actually somewhat decent at that. It seems like at winning some of those, which is not maybe what you would expect from him. But well placed into the corner, and I mean, you love the fight back to get the lead back at home. Unfortunately, that was going to be the pretty much the end of Merkin's action, both positive and at all in this match. So, yeah. I mean, that lead did not last very long because a couple minutes later, got a little chaos in front of our goal. Ball, I think it was blocked by the defender. Maybe the Fairman got a hand on it, whatever. But it comes right next to, I was gonna say Jay Moore, Tobias Moore. For some inexplicable reason, he just stares at the ball, and whoever, I don't remember who scored. Let me see who scored this.
Asta is the one who Simon Asta picked up the ball and puts it away, and I have no idea what more. And I hate picking on Moore because I think he's played so well in the last several games. I thought he played well in this game. Like he nearly had that assist that called offsides on Toyota. But man, he just let that ball sit there, and you saw Fairman's disgust like after the goal went in. It's like, dude, come on, man, really? Like you didn't do anything on the play. What are your thoughts on that?
So I'm gonna initially not like defend him, but sort of explain what happened. But then I'm also going to join you in the criticism. So, Asta is like the right back or sort of the right wing back. What do they play? They're sort of playing like a 3-4-1-2 or something.
Yes.
Yeah. So that play happens in transition, and at the beginning of that play, he is like nowhere near threatening anybody, but he just sort of slowly creeps in off the back. And then when Fairman makes from Tobias Moore's perspective, he has no idea that guy's anywhere near him, and he doesn't like do like a 180 behind him to see. So I think he thinks that guy's like kind of way out of the play. Fairman makes the save, gets pat, and kind of gets knocked in the center of the box, and then so because of that, he's able to kind of run up on the back of Tobias Moore, who has no idea he's there or coming and threatening for the ball. That being said, if there's a loose ball in the center of the box, I don't really care what, even if you think you have time to kind of corral it and make a good pass or something, like there's a loose ball in the center of the box. Like you should probably be alive to the fact that there's either is danger or is likely danger, and him just kind of sitting there and not choosing to clear it. I felt like I was, playing a game of Pro Clubs online and watching my like AI defense just inexplicably not go for like a 50-50 ball and that turns into like a goal for the opposition. You're like, that should have been yours, like easily. Like, how did you lose that? So yeah, pretty frustrating, kind of a brain fart moment from him for sure. I know that he obviously feels bad about it, and Gerard said what he said about it. It seemed like he'll get past it. It's a dumb play, and it's disappointing that it happened because loses the result for us. But yeah, I mean, I think Tobias Moore had a decent game overall, despite that, just a costly mistake for sure.
And it appeared like I watched this play over and over times. So I'm trying to like, what the heck did he do? It looked like he was holding it off, hoping a teammate would come and kick it away. And just nobody was there except for him and Asta. And Asta put it away. But yeah, I think next time it'd be no nonsense clearance. I mean, that's why I think we always said for anytime the ball's in the box, just clear it away. You don't need the fancy stuff. Just get it out of the box. Then once it's out of the box, you can figure stuff out. But it's a danger zone. You should be. I remember when I used to play. Coach used to say, "Just get it out of the box. Get it out of the box. Hoof it. I don't care. Just get it out." So I mean, he'll learn from that. And like you said, he's been playing so well lately, and you hate to have his hang over his head, but he'll get over it. He has got a long month to get over it now. I think going to training camp will help. But
look, even if you don't want to just like boot it and unnecessarily get rid of possession or something immediately, at least get on the ball.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing if you want to like get it and then like look around and not play something, and at least that way you have the chance of somebody tackling through you and getting a foul called or something along those lines. He was like actively staying away from the ball entirely and just letting somebody go and take possession of it. So yeah, not a good moment.
He looked like a security guard trying to protect a celebrity from like the crowd or whatever. He's like, get away. So anyway, 2-2 at that point, and like, okay, well, 2-2. We've been fighting all game long. We can go and fight and get another one, but no. Merkin had picked up a yellow card in the 39th minute. I don't even remember in the game when he got this yellow card early in the first half. I remember when Seguin got it, or excuse me, Adrizi got one in the first half. So it might have been like right around then. But then Merkin.
Adrizi's was warranted. I don't remember the first one for
I don't either.
Merkin either. Adrizi's, he like pulled down Julian Green outside the box or something. But yeah,
yes. And then I think it was Asta, or I forget who it was for Firth, tries to go by Merkin, which they do. Merkin like reaches for him and the guy goes down. I thought it was a soft yellow. I understand why the yellow happened, but it was a soft play. Merkin's got to know that when he's on a yellow, he can't be doing that kind of stuff and gets a red card. Look at that. I'm furious because it was a soft yellow. But again, you're on a yellow already. You got to know. You got to be better than that. You got to just pick your battles, and that's not a battle we can afford to lose.
Pretty much complete agreement. You and I said on this podcast all the time, you can't give the ref an excuse to make a decision like that. You just got to be smarter. That being said, as far as these sort of 50-50 kind of like, can't give the ref an excuse calls go, I thought this one was a pretty obnoxious to send somebody off for that. I mean, because like this ball comes to Merkin, he kind of plays it back. The defender makes no attempt to win the ball and sort of initiates contact with him. Yep. You could say there's some sort of mild arm movement from Merkin on him, but like the defender or initiates contact and then falls over dramatically, and they somehow decide that's like a harsh foul on Merkin, which I just, even seeing the replay and everything, I just don't see that as being a foul at all, almost, let alone a second yellow offense. So I thought it was a questionable call for sure.
Schalke and Gerards won't criticize the referee, but I certainly will. I think a good referee will go to Merkin and say, okay, you're toeing the line, buddy. Don't do that again, or you're going to get a yellow. You don't just go and give him a yellow for something like that, a second yellow for that, because that's, like I said, it's going to impact the game. And what a referee should be doing is not being the person to impact the game like that. So we go down to 10 men, and I'm like, shit, here we go. We've been terrible this year, and pretty much for the last 5 years when we go down a guy. And so my big worry is that they're going to find a way to score a goal, but we see the game out. It was a chaotic. I think we all go extra white hairs at the end of the game, but 2-2, we get a draw. We get a point. If before that Merkin red, if we get a 2-2 draw, we thought it probably would have been a bad result. But given we had a red card, I think ultimately it was a good result. We didn't lose in the game. We end the season under Gerards 17 points from 8 games, which is much improved from what we were before. So we currently have 20 points. So, I mean, we got most of our points under Gerards. Not 4 times 30, 12, 13 points. Excuse me, 13 from 8 games. I don't want to give him all the credit for all the points this year. But nonetheless, I think, game was fairly even for the most part, I thought, considering how good the opponent was. 12 shots, 11 in our favor, 8-8 on target. They had more possession, but they were trying to catch up in the second half a couple times. Passing accuracy in the mid-70s, which is decent. Fouls are even. I mean, the game was even for the most part. They had way more offsides than us, but I thought we played. This is Osnabrück and Hansa Rostock. This was the better of the 3 teams that we played, and for a team that's challenging promotion, we played them very well. I thought it would have been nice to get the 3 points and get within 6 points of the promotion spot, but another point is a point we're gonna have to take, because we need all the points we can get at this point.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Like you said, there was some good stuff, in the first half offensively at times, and I think once again, given the table positions and kind of the relative performance, you can walk away from that game feeling okay about it. If you look kind of overall with Gerards' tenure so far, I think it's pretty much 4 wins and 4 losses and 2 draws, so pretty much very even, kind of middle of the road in terms of what he's done. But there has been an improvement, not just in sort of goals scored and goals conceded, but also expected goals scored and expected goals conceded, as compared with Rice's tenure in the first half of the season. So I'm not saying these are massive improvements or massive changes, but there has been a big improvement on the defensive end, at least in terms of the expected performance. Our expected goals allowed under Gerards is a lot better. I hope more of that translates into actually fewer goals conceded, because our goal difference is not as good as our expected goal difference.
Yeah,
under Gerards, but yeah, I do think there's potentially reason to stay optimistic. We're outside the relegation zone now, right? Not as high as we'd like to be, but we're in 14th. We're less than 10 points away from 6 maybe. I don't know what looking at the table right now,
we're 10 points from 4th. 10 points from 4th.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, the table is still relatively tight. I'm not looking at promotion at all at this point, of course not. But we could very easily finish mid-table if we suddenly, are able to start stringing some wins together. And end of the season, we're unbeaten in 3. 2 goals conceded in 3 games. So certainly a better end of the season than the start. And now we just gotta look to the winter break and see if there's anything we can do to strengthen the squad.
What's crazy to me is St. Pauli is undefeated, and the Holstein Kiel is ahead of them with 4 losses, but 35 points, 2 points ahead of them, which is crazy stat to me. It just shows they haven't been capitalizing themselves. Too many draws. But yeah, look, if you look at the goals for, Kiel has 33 for. We have as many goals for as St. Pauli.
Just 20 more conceded.
But yeah, exactly. That's
St. Pauli defensive record is just unreal. In the first
it
half.
is.
Yeah,
it is. Greuther Fürth was as well. I mean, Greuther Fürth is only giving up 20 goals, which is still a lot more than St. Pauli. But yeah, we're at better place. We're at 14th place right now. We're chatting another victory. We're at the top. We're within shouting distance of 10th place. So I mean, a lot to play for. We got Hammer coming up, and they've been a little bit more rocky lately, up and down. But yeah, if you look at the last couple of games for us in particular, under Gerards, I mean, 2 goals against Fürth, had a shutout against Hansa, shutout against Osnabrück, 5 goals against Dusseldorf, 2 goals against Elversberg. So yeah, there's still some leakiness, not as bad, but still bad enough for for us. We're in Zweite Liga, where we want to correct that. And Gerard's got his wish. They're going to be going to the training camp in, I think it's Alaves, Portugal. Let me see my Algarve, Portugal, from January 2nd through the 10th. So that's good for them. They get to bond, work more on training. Like I said, the offense has looked better, especially the XGs, like you mentioned. But defensively, they got to figure something out. Overall impression, early quick shot reaction of Gerard so far through 8 games or whatever it is under him the last 2 months.
I really like him as a personality. I like the things he says, and I like the attitude and the approach he has. Whether that necessarily translates to success on the pitch, I think sort of remains to be seen. But I do think he's brought some additional structure and organization on the pitch. I think he has improved us a little bit defensively. I think there's a pretty limited ceiling for this particular squad of players. As I've said before, I just don't think this is that talented of a team at the moment. And I think it's worse than I expect. I knew it was going to be worse than the last time we were in the second division. I think it's worse than I thought it was going to be going into the season. But so I'm skeptical as to what Gerards can even achieve potentially, even if he does do like a perfect job, whatever that means. So we'll see. I hope we strengthen some things in the winter and give him a couple more weapons to work with. I know we'll be talking about that in a second. I think if that happens, then I might be a little bit more optimistic. But I guess what I'll leave it as is I think it's about as good of a hire as we could have expected under the circumstances.
Oh yeah.
Given the situation the club was in and everything, this is I think at least at a minimum an intriguing manager, if not a manager with already something of a track record. And like I said, I like his approach, and I feel certainly more comfortable with him at the helm.
Eric, I agree with you. It seems like this team does come out better in the second half on the Gerards. I think what that team needs to improve on is their starts. This game they had a better start in this one, the last couple of games really, but or last probably 3 games. But yeah, prior to that, they had started out, especially the first 30 minutes of the game, 20, 30 minutes of the games, we were so flat, and then we've seen it come on as the game goes on. Yeah, I agree with you. I think my optimism with Gerards is that he's taken shit and made it to gold before with Union Saint-Gilloise, because they came from the second division and they also finished second place in the top division in Belgium the next year. He had a good big part of that. So maybe he can get just the most maximize potential of this team. We know, I agree with you. I think I had higher hopes with this team in terms of what I thought talent-wise we were compared to last time we were down here. So I'm massively disappointed, but I agree with you that this team isn't good enough talent-wise to get promoted. But if he can maximize potential, who knows? If he can get us, well, certainly out of relegation, not even considering a relegation, but if we make some kind of fight at the end of the season, that's all we can ask for. Promotion would be great, but if he pushes back up and we're challenging or something, that's be worth it. I just want to see better performances than what we've seen and not as many goals against. So that's the hope there with Gerards. But I share the same sentiments with you. Notes about the U19s. They won their junior Pokal game against Hertha 2-1, so they move on to the quarterfinals. Looking at some news, so we know that there can be some player movement, or at least that's the idea of what maybe Poulter's be gone and some other guys, Cisse or something like that. I know. I think I heard. I don't know. I read that some of the spots that Gerards wants to improve upon is, I think, depth and striker, but also defense as well, because he thinks our defense is so bad. One of the names that Sky Dirk and what is that guy's name? His name is Pletigol, at Pletigol on Twitter. I forget his full name. But they're mentioning this guy from Belgian squad, Anderlecht. His name is Patris. I don't know if you've heard of him, Jack. He's been Schalke's going after him. Defender. He's probably got a pretty decent record. Last year, he had played 33 or 34 games, had 10 goals. He was awarded with a nomination to the U21 championship on the Belgium team, and then all of a sudden, he obviously signed with Anderlecht last year. So, player that seems to be a young talent. If we can, I don't know if we can buy him, great, but I would guess it'd be a loan. First, before I get more into money, thoughts on this defender possibly coming and joining Schalke. Yeah.
I mean, I think given sort of the performances of Matriciani and then also the injury trouble of Brunner, if we're going to bring in somebody to potentially shore up that sort of right back position, I think everyone would be in favor of that. Depth at a minimum, if not somebody that can potentially come right into the starting 11 and make an impact immediately. I think that's certainly a position on the pitch to target if we're going to be strengthening in the winter. So I haven't seen a whole lot of this particular player, but I think in terms of who we're targeting positionally, it definitely drives with how I would analyze the team as well.
Very Vanderberg-esque, potentially. But speaking of that, speaking of Vanderberg, he scored against Dortmund this past weekend. So there's that, right? Who else? So what other news I had? Let's see.
Speaking of Dortmund, I was watching Jakob Brun-Larsen in the Premier League the other day. So,
oh, how's he doing there? Struggling?
Not bad. Or for Burnley. I think where he's at the moment with Vincent Kompany. So.
We'll get to Burnley here in a second, but Ibrahim Cisse is expected to be one of the first guys to leave the team. Where they're looking for, I think one of the Belgian first and second division teams are looking at him. French teams as well, according to Bild. But so you take that with a grain of salt. Rumors been that Poulter's going to be going on loan just to get more playing time. But going back to Burnley. Fan favorite Darko Turlinov has been obviously his name's been circulating around, and Schalke fans want him to come back. St. Pauli and Dusseldorf want him as well. I'm skeptical of. I like when he was with us. We obviously loved him. We asked him to start, as James Thurgood had mentioned on one of the live air calls. But since he left Schalke, he's only played 500 minutes. That was a couple of years ago. He's had some health conditions, health scares, and so I don't know what kind of shape this guy's in. I mean, if he comes on a free or something, great. But we could use better reinforcements that are more healthier, I think.
So for me, I mean, what I've been hearing is that we're trying to secure him on loan potentially, and if he's not, being able to crack the starting lineup, potentially partially because of Jakob Brun-Larsen. No, but if he's not able to crack the starting lineup, and Kompany wants to get him some minutes elsewhere, that he's going to be lobbying to go back to Schalke. If it's on a loan,
he has been.
I mean, even with Burnley potentially paying a portion of his salary while he's on loan, I have no problem with that at all. He's going to be happy. He's probably going to be motivated.
Yeah,
he might not be sharp immediately. That's fine. I would imagine over the course of the second half of the season, he'll get sharp. And, it's an area or sort of positionally generally we've been kind of weak this season. We don't have Marius Bolter getting into wide areas for us and creating down there. So, Turlinov coming in off, the shoulder, being able to play in those wide areas, I think would be very useful to us.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I'm living in the past. Maybe I'm being nostalgic, but I thought it would have been huge if we had been able to retain him at the time. And I would certainly be open to bringing him back, particularly if we can do so for very minimal cost.
Yeah, we try to keep him. We try to get him really hard with so we could keep Salazar. That never did happen, right? We sold him to Benfica, I think it was. But yeah, I agree with. I mean, I obviously love when he was here, and so I thought that if we can get him on a loan, that'd be great. Because the main reason is because we got 5.5 million euros for Rodrigo Salazar. Great for us. But Christina Ruhl-Hammers and Tillman, the new guy from Expedia, whatever, they basically said, like, yeah, you're not getting that money because Schalke need to kind of make up the money for the holes and like the lack of sponsorships and all the other stuff. And so apparently we're only going to have like a budget of around 1.5 million euros. So I think we're going to have to be very Roven Schroeder-esque and get a lot of loans and hope for the best. Maybe get some. I don't know if they're going to sell Poulter, but maybe they can sell Cisse if it gets a little bit of money there.
Yeah,
and
it sounds like we're going to have some permanent departures for money to be able to bring in that many new people, which is unfortunate. But
yeah. And the other bit of news, I think that's the only other bit of news I had. Yeah, I think that's the only thing really I had in terms of news. But yeah, it's going to be hard to bring in. I know Gerards wants reinforcements. I understand why he would want reinforcements, but you might have to just make do with what we have and try to improve the team upon there. I thought the team has looked better with Kalash and Kaminsky, though Kaminsky has still had his issues. I think he took the blame, at least from what I saw in the game on that first goal.
Yeah, he wasn't really doing much of anything on that play, to be honest. So
Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah,
he's had his ups and downs lately too. Like he's had some bad plays in the last few games, but he's also had some good ones too. And so it's like we need more consistency from him. We certainly do. Kalash has been better.
Yeah, with Kaminsky, you kind of want him to be anonymous defensively,
Yes.
and then make the impact in possession. And I think there's been too many plays recently where you've noticed him making a mistake defensively, which hasn't historically been his MO all the time. We'll always make fun of him being slow or like getting exposed occasionally, but it's rare that like something will happen. You'll be like, wow, that was a really like dumb decision from him, a really bad moment. We've definitely seen more of that recently, so I agree.
I mean, prime example is 2 years ago when we were in Zweite Liga, where we didn't notice him because he didn't make mistakes, except when he made those great passes over the top or did something well offensive. Like, oh yeah, he's in the game. That's right. Nothing. You didn't have to mention his name in a bad way. And now it seems like it's more and more happening. So hopefully he corrects those ways, and the team corrects his way. They bond, whatever they got to do to shore up the defense in the second half of the season. But yeah, I think it was been improved. I think obviously Merkin's been a revelation this year in the left back in place of Oweyan. Moore has played a lot better, especially in that double stack. And then I feel better with Brunner over Matriciani just because I feel it gives us a little bit more consistency as well. But yeah, maybe having Patris as a backup or potentially a new starter that can create more offensively would be ideal. I think Seguin overall has been came on as of late, and it'd be nice to have Ouedraogo back. I think having him back with some of the other players is going to do well for us if we keep Ouedraogo. There's all those rumors about he may go, but yeah.
Well, Mr. William in the chat right now talking about that and basically saying, at least I think what he's saying is, hey, he's injured right now. If we can find a way to move him while he's injured, he's not going to be making an impact for us in the short term anyway. If we can get some money for him now and then potentially have time to actually use that in this window, that could be useful for our prospects. But yeah, I mean, it's always disappointing to lose a player that shortly after they made an impact. And particularly with him in the second division and not even playing that many games, it's hard to imagine that we're selling him already. But who knows? Maybe he really is held in that high esteem, and there's teams that are willing to pull the trigger on him.
Yeah, but the unfortunate part is that teams have the leverage over us because they know we need the money, and so they're gonna try to lowball us. And Malik Chow lost what, 7 million euros or something like that. So
I mean, it sucks. I mean, remember Nubel? He had a good half a season, one good half season. And then he's like, all right, I'm out of here. And it's like, you
never know.
You have no track record at all of doing, you know what I mean? So it's frustrating. But
it is frustrating. So we'll see what happens here in the offseason. If anything crazy happens, there's rumors about maybe Heckelman be gone after the season. Certainly, oh my God, Noble will be gone more than likely. But yeah, well, if anything crazy happens, we'll bring it to you during the break. But yeah, it's going to be a long Winterpause, one month. I think January 20th is maybe the next game back, the Rückrunde. But yeah, we'll have a nice little break, Jack, from the podcast at least.
Any bold predictions for the second half of the season?
I'm not going to say quite promotion, but I think as a Schalke fan, I feel what's going to happen is that they're going to give us optimism, and so we're going to make a late push at the end of the season, but we're going to be short. So I say top 5. That's
a bold prediction. My bold prediction is that Simon Terrata breaks the second division single season scoring record.
What next goal?
just goes on an absolute tear in the second half of the season. Yeah.
I think he meant break his own record. break his own record.
No, I do. I mean, break his own record, but he's making nowhere near the progress of it so far. He would just have a ridiculous second half of the season.
Yeah, Eric, I agree with you about Schallenberg, Tempelman. They've really fallen off as of late. So Schallenberg didn't play in this game, but I think he was injured or suspended.
Schallenberg can go away. I'm kind of done with him personally. Tempelman, I still have no idea what to make of him. I think he's way too inconsistent.
Yeah.
And there's brief 2 game stretches, maybe 3 game stretches where it's he's providing a little bit of spark, is a little bit cleaner.
Yeah.
And there's games where he's just it seems to be an atrocious footballer. So yeah, he's an absolute mystery. But
yeah, it'll be games where he's the best player on the team, and then he's non-existent at all, or causing some kind of
or just can't complete simple passes.
Yeah, he make tackles, but that's about it. Yeah. Even then, he misses that. So, yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, we got nothing else going on for the next month. It's gonna be quiet, but programming that we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. We're going to try to keep this time slot consistent. Not this time. Monday nights, 8:30. I'm gonna start live streaming on Twitch. The FM24 Schalke, playing with Schalke on FM24. So if you want to join me, talk some Schalke while I'm playing the game there. Join me Monday nights, 8:30. I might do one like this Friday night, just kind of kick things off. But yeah, it's gonna keep the time slot in my head, keep me going, keep the voice going until the Rook Run begins, Jack. So okay, David says my hot take is that we're gonna have a huge winter transfer window and we're gonna successfully push for promotion. Okay, hey, I'll take it if that happens. I will take it all day.
There you go. That's the spirit. That's the vibes.
That's right. All right. Well, everyone in the chat, again, everyone listening, whether it's a podcast or YouTube, wherever, thanks again for sticking with us through this, the ups and downs of Schalke. Hope everyone has a happy holidays, happy New Year's. Same goes to you, Jack. Long season, long year. So we deserve a break. Nice month-long break.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone. Enjoy. Stay healthy. We will catch you soon. Glück auf and Happy New Year.